here to do is win.
From the Padres Radio Network, here's Sam Levitt.
San Diego Padres baseball coming up on 97.3 The Fan and the Padres Radio Network. Today, the Padres take on the New York Mets in the final game of a 3-game series. Our starting pitching matchup today for the Mets, right-hander Clay Holmes, and for the Padres, right-hander Yu Darvish. Hi, good everyone. Sam Levitt with you from inside the Western Metal Building at Petco Park. First pitch coming up at 1:10 as the Padres go for a 3-game sweep of the Mets. Coming up in the next 50 minutes, we have a lot to do. We'll hear from Padres manager Mike Shildt. I go one-on-one with Jake Cronenworth. We'll hear the latest from Mets manager Carlos Mendoza on the status of Juan Soto, who came out of yesterday's game. Plus, in just a little bit, we check in with the Padres radio booth. But first, it's time to set the table, brought to you by Fraser Farms Market. Set your table with the highest quality of natural and organic products from Fraser Farms Market, a San Diego original since 1971 with 3 locations, La Mesa Vista and Oceanside, and at FraserFarmsMarket.com. Padres entered today 59-49. They entered the day sitting in the National League's final wildcard spot, a 3-game lead on the Cincinnati Reds. Padres have won 4 in a row. Meanwhile, the Mets are 62-46. They have a half-game lead on the Phillies for first place in the National League East. Well, there were 45,000 plus in the building last night. What a game. Let's rewind.
Did you miss what happened in the last Padres game? Let's take a look back with our Padres Rewind on the Padres Radio Network.
It was Jackson Merrill who put the Padres ahead early.
First pitch, and Merrill swings, lines it towards second. Beatty backs up, can't make the play. Into right field and an RBI single for Jackson Merrill as Fernando comes in to score. Padres take a 1-0 lead here in the bottom of the first inning.
It would stay 1-0 for a while. Ryan Bergert got in big trouble in the 5th inning after throwing 4 scoreless innings. Mets loaded the bases with nobody out. Jeremiah Estrada came in, allowed just the sac fly to tie the game at 1. Let's go bottom 6. Still a 1-1 game. Luis Ariz was on first base. 2 men away. Jackson Merrill dug in.
Here's the pitch on the way. Jackson swings, high chopper over Alonso. A fair ball down the right field line. Ariz speeding around second. He's at third. Tim Leeper's going to wave him. Marte's got a cannon. The throw home is in front of the dish. And Ariz scores all the way from first as Merrill triples in a run on a chopper over the first base bag. And the Padres lead it 2-1.
Padres still led 2-1 going bottom 7. There were 2 on base for Elias Diaz.
0-1 pitch. Diaz hits it hard on the ground. Fair up the third baseline. That'll roll all the way into the corner and get at least 1 run home. Iglesias has scored. Croninworth is on his way. How about a 2-run double for Elias Diaz? And a 4-1 Padre lead in the 7th.
Later in the inning, it was Manny Machado who made the house rock.
1-1 to Manny. And Machado laces it in the air to deep left. Nimmo back to watch this one. Gonna go! A 3-run exclamation point home run for Manny Machado, his 20th of the year, and the Padre lead is now 7-1.
Manny bangs one off the facing of the second deck, his 20th home run of the season. That made it 7-1. Like Jesse said, Padres bullpen was great once again, and the Padres went on to win by that final score of 7-1. And now we turn the page to the final game of this 3-game series coming up at 1:10. As always, if you want to get involved with our pregame coverage, you can do that in a number of different ways. You can find me on X at Sammy Lev, SammyLev. Instagram DMs open as well. Sammy Lev there too. You can also chime in on the 97.3 The Fan YouTube page. Let me know who you are, where you're tuned in from. And as always, if you have a key to today's game, you can share that key with me, and I may just read it live here on the air coming up in just a little while. Again, our starting pitching matchup today, Yu Darvish on the mound for the Padres, right-hander Clay Holmes on the mound for New York. Let's go inside the Padres radio booth as we go behind the plate inside the Jerry Coleman Broadcast Center.
Let's take a trip up to the Padres broadcast booth for a deep dive on today's matchup with Jesse Agler in our Padres game preview on the Padres Radio Network.
Well, Jesse, we just recapped yesterday's win here at Petco Park. It was an awesome win. Really, the last couple of games you feel like have a real playoff-type atmosphere. Obviously, a very good Mets team in town. But, Jesse, the offense for the Padres continues to shine. What's your assessment of what we've seen offensively, really going back to the last week or so?
It's, A, been a lot of fun. I guess we start there, right? And B, I think it's kind of what we all thought it was going to look like. Not necessarily 7 runs a game, but I think coming out of last year, and even with the way the season began offensively, this is, and perhaps that was unfair of us, I think what a lot of us thought it was going to look like most of the season. Mm-hmm. You knew there would be dips, right? You knew that there were going to be ups and downs. But I was surprised the last couple of months that the offense looked the way it did, because I thought it would look a lot more like that. And it's been great to see that they've been doing it. I loved the way Mike Shildt put it after the game last night, that, they've kind of reestablished what their offensive identity is. And look, again, I'm not going to sit here and say I expect 7 runs a game the rest of the way. But if you get the at-bats, you're going to get the results in the long term, and we're starting to see that. And it's as I said, been a lot of fun to watch.
Jesse, it feels like a good day to talk about Manny Machado in the midst of a 7-game hitting streak. He's hitting .552 in that span, hits the 3-run home run last night. I was thinking about it. Manny, late in 2023, is dealing with the elbow. To begin 2024, he's dealing with the elbow still after the surgery. He's fully healthy coming into this year. And I just feel like this season has been an awfully good reminder of how special he is day to day. And as of late, he's really showing off. Your thoughts on Manny's season to this point?
It's the best I've ever seen him.
Yeah.
And I've seen pretty much every swing he's taken in a Padre uniform. And I didn't see all the swings he took at the beginning of his career in Baltimore. I know that there were some extraordinary years there. But as a Padre, I haven't seen it this good and for this long. And that's part of it, is that from day one, he has looked this good. And I think we're going to look back at 2025 and go, boy, that was Manny's best season as a Padre. Assuming health and assuming the production stays generally where it's at the rest of the way. And, that feels like one of those things that in a big picture sense, you want to take advantage of. I think part of what made last year so heartbreaking with the way it ended was that, so many things went great for the Padres last year. You got what you got out of the rookie Jackson Merrill, which would have been totally unfair to expect at the beginning of the year. You got what you got out of the bullpen and the new relievers that you brought in. You got what you got out of David Peralta and Donovan Solano off the bench. And it made it feel like such a missed opportunity. And I put what Manny is doing this year into that category, because he is putting up MVP numbers in the National League. And you want to strike in those moments when you have a guy like that, playing like that. This means it can be your year. You have the possibility to make it your year. And it's been such a joy to watch. It really has.
Yu Darvish on the mound for the Padres today, obviously coming off a very tough outing in St. Louis that last time out. Jesse, I suppose the good news continues to be that Yu continues to make starts, right? The health with him, I think, right now is still first and foremost. Padres gave him an extra day of rest, so he's pitching on 5 days rest today. How do you assess what we've seen from Darvish so far, and I suppose what we'd like to see from him moving forward, hopefully starting today?
Yeah, moving forward, you'd like to see better, certainly. But, the way I look at it, it's 4 starts right now. I look at it that for Yu Darvish, it's currently, March 18th, something like that. That's kind of my perspective on it. And look, I'm not a pitching coach. I'm not a pitcher. But, just from like a common sense standpoint, and, not only is it March 18th for Yu Darvish, but it's March 18th pitching in games that matter against full lineups of major leaguers. If he's out there on March 18th playing against, Kansas City, he's going to see 3-4 regulars max, right? And then, maybe some AA guys and some AAA guys sprinkled in, and he's able to go out there and work on process without having to be too concerned about results. He does not have the ability to do that right now, of course, pitching in these games. He's going to have to face Nimmo, Vientos, Lindor in the top of the first inning with Alonso potentially next. And it matters, and it counts. So, look, everybody is aware of that, right? And you sort of have to say, this is the deal. And as you began the question with, the main thing is that he's physically able to do it. So, you start there, I think you end there, and then the rest of it hopefully takes care of itself as time goes on, because he is Yu Darvish.
Jesse, I totally agree with you. This is essentially his spring training, and obviously it's a little different because he's pitching in big-time games against really good lineups, as you spelled out there. We'll see how Yu does today against this Mets lineup. Jesse, appreciate the time. We'll talk to you and Tony coming up at the top of the hour. Thanks so much.
You got it, Sam.
All right, that is Jesse Agler joining us on our EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show here on the Padres Radio Network as we get ready for today's game on an absolutely beautiful Wednesday afternoon here in downtown San Diego. Crowd filing in, should be another good one as the Padres go for a 5th consecutive win and a 3-game sweep of the New York Mets. When we come back, we revisit what Mike Shildt had to say after yesterday's game. A little bit later, I go one-on-one with Jake Cronenworth, plus we get the latest on Juan Soto, who is out of the Mets lineup today, but we'll hear the latest on him. Obviously, a big injury for the Mets. Our keys to the game, full breakdown of today's starting pitching matchup, and much, much more. Our EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show continues after these words on the Padres Radio Network.
Stay tuned.
EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show continues here on the Padres Radio Network. Sam Levitt with you inside the loft here at the Western Metal Building at Petco Park as we get ready for today's game. First pitch coming up at 1:10 between the Padres and the New York Mets. Padres going for a 3-game sweep and a 5th consecutive win. This series with the Mets is presented by the 988 Lifeline, providing free local mental health and substance use support. Text or call 988 to get support. As we get ready for today's game, let's hear from Padres manager Mike Shildt.
Let's pull up a seat in the manager's office and hear from Padres manager Mike Shildt. Served up by Sin Lee Food, where fresh meets flavor. Find farm fresh produce, bold Asian spices, and gourmet ingredients at 4665 El Cajon Boulevard. Sin Lee Food, the cook's Asian resource.
Day game after a night game, so no pregame media availability for Mike Shildt today. So let's revisit what Mike had to say after yesterday's 7-1 win. Obviously, the Padres had a big day offensively, 9 hits. They continue to roll. Jackson Merrill had 2 RBIs. Elias Diaz had another big hit, including a big 2-run double in the 7th inning to make it 4-1. Manny Machado with 3-run home runs put the cherry on top, made it a 7-1 game. Ryan Berger, solid through 4, ran into trouble in the 5th inning. Padres got him out of most of the trouble. Bullpen good once again as well. Here was Mike Shildt after yesterday's 7-1 win.
Mike, how much of a difference maker is it for you when you start getting contributions from the bottom of your lineup, similar to what Diaz did for you tonight?
Yeah, I mean, it's clearly important, to get the order, but, when the bottom can do what Diaz has done the last couple of nights, Johnson taking good at bats recently, it's really important. Crony, also an unsung hero offensively, is not going to show up a lot in the box scores, but 2 at bats that took 23 pitches of Manaea, 77 at the time, and 2 at bats, nothing to show for it in the box score, but those are big at bats, that counts and starts to drain the battery a little bit. And also shortens the outing, but clearly have a big 2-run double by Diaz.
This level of offense and the ability to add on late in games like you've had recently, what can that do on a team-wide perspective for your bullpen?
Huge.
In terms of helping those guys?
Just huge. I mean, it creates margins, right? And I love the at-bats, of the hunger. I don't want to misrepresent that the hunger wasn't there, because the hunger has always been there. Guys are just really in a good spot, taking a lot of quality bats, managing the strike zone very, very well, and passing the baton, doing the little things, the bunt games in our bag, going the other way, moving runners like Crony did. What a pretty swing man he had for his, his 11th season of 20 home runs. Model of consistency and clearly a big blow. And now, it allows us to go the bullpen and do something different. And, save Adam and Suarez, and Marinaccio did a great job. Already mentioned Yuki, and they were great, but a lot of other heroes, one of them being Mr. Estrada, right at the heart of the order, nobody out, bases loaded, and, was really close to getting out of it unscathed, but to leave it there tied at that point, fantastic. And Wandy doing his job in the 6th, and Morihone, really wiping out the 7th, and of course we add on, and here we go. It's really important.
You had a pretty good lefty bat on your bench to stick with Diaz there. What has he shown you to give him that at bat in that spot?
Yeah, no, he definitely shown us that. And we've got the lead, so it's a little bit different calculus at that point. But yeah, he's starting to swing the bat well, and don't have to use as many moving pieces when you got guys that are starting to show you consistent at bats. And, he's able to reward that with, another good at bat.
That was Padres manager Mike Shildt after yesterday's 7-1 win for the Padres against the Mets. We'll hear more from Mike on our post-game coverage coming up later on this afternoon. Sam Levitt back with you inside the loft here at the Western Metal Building at Petco Park. First pitch coming up at 1:10. Let's tell you who's hot, who's not.
Which player is locked in at the dish? Who needs to kick things up another notch? This is Who's Hot, Who's Not on the Padres Radio Network.
Let's begin with a look at the hot category. Guess who? Manny Machado, certainly in that category today. 7-game hitting streak for Manny. He is 16 for 29 in those 7 games. That's a 552 average in that span. 4 doubles, 2 home runs, and 9 RBIs. Luis Arraez also in the hot category. In the midst now of a 12-game hitting streak, batting .396 in that span. Arraez is hitting .420 in 19 career games against the Mets. Jake Cronenworth also in the hot category, 6 for 19 during a 5-game hitting streak. As far as the not category, we put Gavin Sheets in there. Sheets got another day off against the left-hander Sean Manaea. Yesterday's Sheets is just 5 for 46 in his last 12 games. And that's a look at who's hot, who's not as we get ready for the final game of this 3-game set. When we come back, we'll hear from Jake Cronenworth. We'll also take you through the latest trades around Major League Baseball. We do have some activity at the trade deadline. We're approaching 24 hours away. In fact, likely during the course of today's game, we'll be 24 hours away from the trade deadline. So we'll review some of that. We'll have our keys to the game coming up. A full breakdown of today's starting pitching matchup between Yu Darvish and Clay Holmes. Much, much more to do on our pregame coverage. We continue after this on the Padres Radio Network.
Heart and concert.
Welcome back to the EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show. EcoWater SoCal, keeping it soft since 1925. Your water should be perfect. Sam Levitt with you inside the Western Metal Building here at Petco Park as we get ready for today's game. First pitch coming up at 1:10 between the Padres and the New York Mets. Padres going for a 5th consecutive win and a 3-game sweep of the Mets. Let's take you around the horn.
Let's examine the most important news and the latest information you need to know in the world of Major League Baseball. Sam Levitt takes you around the horn. Presented by Valley View Casino and Hotel. Get ready for Major League winning when you join Valley View Casino and Hotel's Players Club and receive over $200 in free instant offers. Visit valleyviewcasino.com to learn more today.
Well, we are nearly 24 hours away from the trade deadline tomorrow at 3 p.m. Pacific time. So let's recap what's gone on in the last 24 hours or so. A trade coming down in the last hour, the Reds getting third baseman Ke'Bryan Hayes from the Pittsburgh Pirates. Pittsburgh receiving a couple of prospects, a shortstop and a right-handed pitching prospect. There was a trade between the Angels and the Nationals, the Angels acquiring right-handed reliever Luis Garcia in a trade with Washington. Left-handed reliever Andrew Chafin also going to the Angels. Left-hander Jake Eder is the one player heading back to the Nationals in the deal. Jeff Passan of ESPN reporting that the Houston Astros have interest in Minnesota Twins shortstop and, of course, former Astro Carlos Correa. He reports there has been dialogue at a potential trade. The sides are far apart, and at the moment, no deal is close. The Yankees have acquired outfielder Austin Slater in a trade with the White Sox. And that's about it as far as going back to last night. I am sure we are just getting started, almost 24 hours away from the trade deadline, but those are the moves and the latest notable rumors. Obviously, Dylan Cease's name being thrown around. Robert Suarez has his name being thrown around by multiple reporters. We're going to see in the next 24 hours who is potentially off this Padres team. Certainly expect there will be names added. I think the interesting part is how the Padres add those names, but keep it tuned to 97.3 The Fan, Padres Radio Network. We will have each and every move for you with analysis, and we'll see where the Padres are at 3 p.m. tomorrow. The Mets, rather, are missing a key player, a real key player out of their lineup today. Let's tell you more about that.
Who's in? Who's out? This is the Bada Fulkerson Injury Report, presented by San Diego's Bulldog Injury Attorneys, who hope you're never in an accident. But if you are, make Bada Fulkerson the first call you make. Hit him up 24/7 at badafulkerson.com.
During yesterday's game, Juan Soto fouled the ball off his foot and came out of the game with a right foot contusion is what the Mets called it. X-rays were negative after the game. Soto is not in the lineup today for the Mets. Here was Mets manager Carlos Mendoza with the latest on Soto earlier today.
Carlos, how's Soto feeling today?
Better, but still sore. Getting treatment. Let's see where we at. He hasn't done anything. He's in the training room. Hopefully he gets in the cages and see if he's available or not for the game, but a little bit better.
So at this point, safe to say you guys are confident that you dodged a bullet in terms of a break or anything?
Yes. So right now, talking to Juan, just looking at his face and things like that, I think we dodged a bullet here.
Is it an issue putting pressure on the foot hitting, or is it more of a running thing, you think, or everything?
I mean, it's everything. I mean, last night, walking out of here, he was sore just to walk, so... And again, he hasn't done anything baseball activity related, So, we'll see what we got.
That was Mets manager Carlos Mendoza earlier today, the latest on Juan Soto. So we'll see if Soto is available or not off the bench. We'll see if he appears in today's game. Doesn't sound like it's going to be too serious for Juan Soto, so that's certainly good news for the Mets. But again, Soto out of the lineup after coming out of yesterday's game with that foot contusion. Taking a look at the Padres lineup today, it looks like this. Fernando Tatis Jr. in right field leading off. Luis Ariz at first base batting second. Manny Machado at third base batting third. Jackson Merrill in center field batting cleanup. Xander Bogaerts at DH today batting fifth. Jake Cronenworth at second base batting sixth. Jose Iglesias, the shortstop, batting seventh. Gavin Sheets in left field batting eighth. And Martin Maldonado doing the catching batting ninth with right-hander Yu Darvish on the mound. Well, Jake Cronenworth had a big impact on last night's game. He continues to have a nice offensive season, play really good defense, whether he's at second base or first base. Obviously, the trade deadline looming as well. There have been a couple of rumors, a couple of reports saying maybe the Padres would potentially look to move Jake. I don't know if we'll see that in the next 24 hours, but for everybody, especially when you're a Padre with A.J. Preller at the helm, the trade deadline is a very, very interesting time of year. I caught up with Jake inside the clubhouse earlier today. Sam Levitt here on the Padres Radio Network as we get ready for today's game against the New York Mets. And right now I'm joined by Padres infielder Jake Cronenworth. Jake, it was an interesting night for you yesterday because there was a point in the game where Sean Manaea had tossed 77 pitches. You had only 2 at-bats, but you saw 23 of the 77, including a 14-pitch at-bat. How would you describe your early at-bats yesterday?
Yeah, I mean, I think I said it last night. He's super unique. Super crazy angle he throws from. He's tough on lefties, and just getting there and trying to compete against him. And credit to him too. I mean, he's pounding the zone and just following pitches off and just trying to get to the next one.
That's another part of, I think, what was so impressive about it yesterday. You're facing a lefty in Manaea who does come from such a unique arm slot and angle. He's also on the third base side, but he comes across from the first base side. Can you describe what makes him so tough to face as a lefty?
Yeah, I think a lot of it is that, he starts all the way over on the third base side and, he's almost stepping straight across, but he's also throwing behind you from a super low angle. Andy's a big dude, and he gets down the mound pretty far. So there's a lot of factors that make him really tough.
You talked the other day about ways you can contribute to a game, even when you don't have hits in a game. It seemed like yesterday that was kind of a good example of that early on, right? Of contributing, even if you don't have a number in the hit column.
Yeah, no, 100%. I mean, I think that's probably the most pitches I've seen in 2 at-bats in my career, 23. But, no, I mean, I think leading off that inning, especially them after tying the game there, again, just trying to have a really good at-bat, get his pitch count up so we can try to get in that bullpen.
We're joined by Jake Cronenworth right now on the Padres radio network. Offensively, the last 6 games or so, it's been really impressive. The hit totals are impressive. The way you guys are moving the line is impressive. It reminds me, of the early part of this season and also what this offense looked like so many games last year. How would you describe maybe what's been different the last week or so?
Yeah, I think it's just the results are there. I wouldn't say it's anything that we haven't been trying to do or trying to execute when we're out there. I think it's just happening for us. I think, guys are playing the game the right way. We're moving runners over. We're bunting. We're cashing out on runs when we need to get them. And it's been a collective group effort.
Yeah. When you're getting productivity 1 through 9, like you've had the past few days, how helpful is that for, the bottom of the order, whoever is making up that 6, 7, 8, 9 to be able to flip things over to the top?
Oh, it's huge. I mean, I think you can probably look at the numbers somewhere, but when guys are that top half of the order is getting 5 at-bats in a game, you got a pretty good shot to win.
Looking at the defense the past couple of days, it's been impressive. You had Toddy make those incredible catches on Monday night. You had a couple of great plays last night. Feel like defensively you guys are kind of clicking too?
Yeah, it almost feels like everything's coming together at the right time. And, I think, the team is playing like a team. And I think, people who are watching the games can see that.
Jackson Merrill, I want to mention him for a second because he has those 2 hits yesterday. He looks up at the sky after the triple. Obviously, you've been in his shoes, second-year player, going through, some of the ups and downs of what a season is. From your perspective, he's got a 9-game hitting streak, and he seems to be getting it going again. From your perspective, how has he kind of handled that second year?
Yeah, I mean, you're going to struggle wherever you're at in your career, but, obviously, incredible season last year. Signs his extension, early this season, and then has those struggles. But, those are going to happen. I mean, this game's incredibly tough. The way he handled it, and, he's turning the corner, and he's kind of coming out on the other side now. It's, he's a huge piece to our lineup, and he's a huge piece to the reason where we were last year and the position we put ourselves in, and he's the same, this year as well.
Obviously, it's an interesting week. I mean, we're less than 48 hours, almost 24 hours out from the trade deadline for you. What is this time of year like when you know that things are going on and some pretty major things could happen really at any moment?
Yeah, I mean, I think you try to stay super focused on what our job is to do today, and that's to go out and win a game. It's going to be, I think, a little odd this year because there's only 3 games tomorrow and everybody's off. So, pretty much everybody's going to be sitting at home, which is different. But no, I mean, I think. Whatever they plan to do with us and add out of this team, it's going to be hopefully great. And obviously those guys are going to be huge, very impactful for us.
I'm sure every player would, say it's an interesting week. I would think for the Padres clubhouse in particular, knowing the general manager, knowing that he is somebody who he likes to get active, likes to get creative, likes to swing big. You've been here for a lot of those big swings. I would imagine that adds at least a little something to it.
Yeah, I'm sure. He's got a bunch of different lines in the water, and he's doing something. I don't know, but we haven't seen him in a couple of days, so he's probably busy.
Well, Jake, great plate appearances last night. Certainly a big part of last night's win with the way you made Minaya work. As always, appreciate the time, and we'll talk to you again down the road. Thanks.
Thanks, man.
That was Jake Cronenworth inside the Padres clubhouse earlier today. As always, great stuff from Jake. He's back in the lineup, batting 6th, then playing second base for the final game of this 3-game series with the New York Mets. This series with the Mets is presented by the 988 Lifeline, providing free local mental health and substance use support. Text or call 988 to get support. First pitch coming up at 1:10. Let's give you our keys to today's game.
How will the Padres unlock a win today? These are the keys to the game. Presented by El Centro Motors Ford. Meet your new Ford General Manager, Greg Ryan, now at El Centro Motors Ford, your new Ford truck, Bronco, and SUV HQ. Call Greg directly at 619-944-0774.
Key number one, keep this offense rolling. Again, this is not going to sound all that dissimilar from what I've talked about the last few days, but you just got to look at the hit totals for the Padres lately. Here are the hit totals in their last 6 games: 14, 16, 9, 11, 13, and 9. That's 72 hits in the past 6 games. That's 12 hits per game. Padres have also scored at least 7 runs in 3 straight games, and they've done that 6 times in the 12 games since the All-Star break. They've also had a pair of 5-run innings in this series, 1 in each game of this series. So Padres just got to keep doing what they've been doing offensively. This has been fun to watch. From the eye test, it looks a lot different. Key number 1, from an offensive standpoint, keep doing what you've been doing. Key number 2, the power of the pen. Again, I'm not straying too far away from what we've talked about in this series as of late. The Padres bullpen has been great lately. They've given up just 3 runs in 36 innings in the last 10 games. Padres and Mets both like to play a lot of 1-run games. They both ranked in the top 3 in 1-run games coming into coming into yesterday's game. They like to play close games. In all likelihood, we'll have a close one here today. Bullpen has to continue to be good. Key number 3, keep beating up on this Mets bullpen. If you want to look at one of the key differences between these two teams, and I think it's been obvious in this series, their bullpens. The Padres bullpen in this series, 9 innings and a third, 3 hits given up. They've allowed 1 run. The Mets bullpen in this series, 7 innings and a third, 12 hits given up. They've allowed 8 runs and a 965 OPS as well. Keep beating up on this New York Mets bullpen. That's key number 3. And key number 4, don't give in to Clay Holmes. Holmes has had a nice year for the Mets, got off to a really good start, transitioned from a reliever into a starter this season. We'll get into him a little bit more in our next segment. But his control has really wavered recently. He has nearly as many walks at 19 as strikeouts in his last 7 starts. And for context, he only walked 25 batters in his first 14 starts of the season. So don't give in to him. If he's going to be wild, let him be wild today. Control as of late for Holmes has been a much, much bigger issue for the right-hander. That's a look at our keys to the game with first pitch coming up at 1:10. When we come back, a full look at the out-of-town scoreboard, plus we'll tell you what to watch for in today's game and a breakdown of today's starting pitching matchup between Yu Darvish and Clay Holmes. The final game of this 3-game series coming up on a beautiful Wednesday here in downtown San Diego. Our pregame coverage continues after this.
You're listening to
Our EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show continues here on the Padres Radio Network. Sam Levitt with you inside the loft here at the Western Metal Building at Petco Park. First pitch coming up at 1:10 between the Padres and the Mets. Right-hander Yu Darvish on the mound for the Padres here today. Let's take a full look at the out-of-town scoreboard. Hey, Andy,
Let's take a trip around the bigs to highlight the scores that matter most with our out-of-town scoreboard. Presented by Jensen Premium Beef Patties. Always a hit for grilling.
We have a number of games going on right now. In fact, we have one final already today. The Tigers completed a sweep of the Diamondbacks with a 7-2 win in Detroit earlier. Games going on right now. Blue Jays ahead of the Orioles, 9-8 in Baltimore in the ninth inning. Red Sox leading the Twins, 13-1 in Minnesota in the ninth. Braves and the Royals are scoreless in Kansas City in the seventh inning. Cubs lead the Brewers 6-3 in Milwaukee in the sixth inning. Astros lead the Nationals 4-1 in Houston in the sixth inning. Pirates and Giants are scoreless in the first inning in San Francisco. Phillies and the White Sox are delayed due to rain in Chicago right now before that one begins. Games coming up later. Rockies and the Guardians at 3:40 in Cleveland. Rays and the Yankees at 4:05 in New York. Dodgers and the Reds in Cincinnati at 4:10. Marlins and the Cardinals in St. Louis at 4:45. Rangers and the Angels in Anaheim at 6:38. And finally, Mariners and the A's in Sacramento at 7:05. And that is a full look at the out-of-town scoreboard. We'll have much more on all those games coming up during our post-game coverage. Let's tell you what to watch for in today's game.
What's the one thing Sam Levitt will be keeping his eye on in today's game? This is What to Watch For. Presented by Genesis Home Improvements, San Diego's trusted painting, roofing, and window company. Save 15% today on a new beginning for your home. Visit GenesisHomeImprovementsSD.com.
What to watch for in today's game. With Juan Soto out of the lineup, Mark Vientos is DHing for the Mets and batting second. And the reason I think it's the thing to watch for in this game, number one, don't get fooled by Soto being out and saying, okay, well, it's not Soto, it's Vientos at the top of the lineup for the Mets. Vientos is a really good player. Now, if you listen to Sports Talk Radio in New York, you might hear people wanting to trade Vientos, use him in a trade package. At the deadline here, he struggled a bit, second-year player. But keep in mind, not only has Mark Vientos been really good as of late, Vientos is in the midst of an 8-game hitting streak, batting .357 with 2 doubles, 1 home run, 7 RBIs in that span. He hit the grand slam on Monday night. This is a guy that hit 27 home runs last year and was a monster in the postseason during that Mets run. Keep an eye on Vientos today. He's playing better. I think he's a good player. I think the Mets would be a little silly to trade him. Keep an eye on Mark Vientos, the DH today for the Mets, batting second. Got to be careful with him here today in this series finale. That's what to watch for in today's game. Our starting pitching matchup, Yu Darvish on the mound for the Padres, Clay Holmes on the mound for the New York Mets. Let's dive in.
Let's take a look at who's on the bump today with our starting pitching preview on the Padres Radio Network.
On the mound for the Padres today, right-hander Yu Darvish, the 38-year-old, is 0-3 with a 9.18 ERA and 4 starts on the season, 16 2/3 innings. His last start in St. Louis, he went 3 innings and a third, 8 earned runs given up on 8 hits, 2 home runs. Padres gave Darvish an extra day of rest, so he's pitching on 5 days rest today, a 3.23 ERA and 10 regular season starts against the New York Mets. Didn't pitch against the Mets last season, but I'll tell you what, you go look at the numbers. He has been really, really good against the Mets, both in the postseason and the regular season over the course of the last few years. In 2023, I'm just going to read through the lines here. 5 innings, 3 runs, another start in 2023, 6 innings and a third, 5 earned runs given up. That was the rare tough one, but before that, 7 innings, 1 run, 7 scoreless innings, 5 innings and a third, 2 runs, 8 innings and 1 run given up. He has been, for the most part, really good against the Mets, including a really good start in the NL Wild Card Series in 2022. So Yu Darvish against the New York Mets. We'll see how Darvish tries to bounce back today after what was a rough outing in St. Louis his last time out. Meanwhile, on the mound for the Mets, right-hander Clay Holmes. Holmes comes in 9-5, a 3.40 ERA, 113 2/3 innings. He's given up 101 hits, 88 strikeouts, and he's walked 44, a 239 opponent batting average. Last start in San Francisco, 5 innings, 1 run given up on 6 hits against the Giants. Of course, Holmes is a converted reliever, really getting his first chance to start here in 2025 after signing with the Mets. Holmes has thrown 113 2/3 innings this season. That's nearly double his mark from each of the last 2 seasons. In fact, his most innings in a season since 2013 when he was in the minor leagues. And we talked about this a little bit earlier. Holmes has had command issues as of late. In his last 7 starts, he's walked 19, only struck out 20. And for context, he walked 25 in his first 14 starts. So again, 25 walks given up in his first 14 starts, and he's walked 19 in his last 7 starts. Like I said in our keys to the game, if Holmes is going to be wild today, don't give in. That's a look at our starting pitching matchup today. Clay Holmes on the mound for the Mets and Yu Darvish on the mound for the Padres. As always, thank you for listening to the EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show. EcoWater SoCal, keeping it soft since 1925. Your water should be perfect. Well, the Padres going for a 5th consecutive win here today, a 3-game sweep of the New York Mets. All of a sudden, the Padres with a little bit of cushion in that wild card race. Padres sitting at 59-49 in the National League's final wild card spot. The Reds now 3 games out. They are the closest team to the Padres. Mets, meanwhile, they had won 7 in a row entering this series, but the Padres have cooled them off in an instant. Can the Padres deliver the final blow of this series here today? We're going to find out in just a little bit. When we come back, Jesse Agler, Tony Gwynn Jr. have the full starting lineups, first pitch, and all the play-by-play. I'll talk to you on our post-game coverage. You're listening to your home for San Diego Padres baseball, 97.3 The Fan, and the Padres Radio Network. Enjoy the game, everybody.